On the African savanna, the wild dog is the ultimate symbol of pack power. Every hunt is a brutal test of strategy, speed, and survival in a merciless world. These are the African wild dogs, lethal pack hunting machines. Known to science as Lycaon pictus, the African wild dog is one of the most elite pack hunters to stalk the continent's savannas. Their identity is painted onto their fur, a chaotic mosaic of black, white, and tan, with no two dogs ever sharing the same design. Built for stamina, their lean frames and long legs are engineered for punishing, long-distance pursuits, while massive, rounded ears scan for the slightest sound and radiate the intense heat of the chase. A 550-pound male lion wielding a bone-crushing 900 pounds of bite force. He is the incarnation of absolute power on the savanna. His lethal jaws don't just dispatch prey, they sow terror among all other hunters. African wild dogs, masters of the pack hunt, rely on numbers and strategy to survive. But in the face of the lion's sheer mass and raw power, they are utterly dwarfed. This is the ultimate showdown. Individual might against collective intellect, where nature alone decides who earns the right to live. The lion begins its hunt with a silent ambush, each step slow yet powerful, asserting its dominance as the apex predator. Ahead, an African wild dog remains oblivious to the danger lurking in the grass and on the savanna. A single lapse in awareness is enough to seal its fate. African wild dogs, the savanna's most cunning and opportunistic predators, silently fix their gaze on the lioness and her cub. For them, vulnerability is an invitation to a reckless hunt. The mother's ferocious defense, erupting from pure protective instinct, becomes an uncompromising retaliation. On the savanna, there is no force more primal than a mother rising to defend her own. When hunger rises, the lion does not need to chase for itself. It waits for the right moment. The wild dogs have done the hardest part, but strength is what decides who keeps the reward. With a single step forward, a dominant presence alone is enough to shift the balance. When the scales of survival tip decisively, the lion, an icon of absolute power, confronts the African wild dog, the embodiment of the pack's might. Two philosophies of survival collide in a brief, brutal clash. For the lion, with prey in its sights, there is no hesitation. With overwhelming force, it shatters the opponent's will, claiming the prize for a belly that has starved for days. On the savanna, opportunity waits for no one, and the strongest is the one who knows how to end it. A hunger that roars in silence drives the lion onto a hunt that cannot be delayed. In the unforgiving world of the savanna, every pulse of life is an opportunity. The arrival of African wild dogs signals more than just arrival. They are a beacon for a nearby meal. Where they prowl, life is in motion. And for the lion, that is the invitation for the hunt to begin. The wilderness is a stunning, yet deadly masterpiece. In a moment of distraction while feasting on their kill, a pack of African wild dogs fails to sense the approaching danger. Lurking in the shadows is the leopard, a predator of silence and speed. The pack reacts, scrambling to save their own, but the leopard's fatal bite has already sealed the unfortunate dog's fate. The face-off exploded into a heart-stopping battle for survival. A lone leopard, pinned and encircled by a savage pack. In a flash of chaos, the leopard seized a fleeting opening and launched a spectacular escape, leaving behind a stark reminder of nature's raw truth. To face the pack alone is to gamble with life itself. The leopard, a solitary hunter of the shadows, confronts an entire pack of wild dogs, where strength isn't measured in fang and claw, but in the crushing power of the collective. Under the relentless pressure, instinct screams not for victory, but for survival. Escape is the only way out. A desperate choice to preserve life on the unforgiving savanna, where nature does not forgive a fatal hesitation. In the world of predators, danger does not come only from prey, but also from rivals that share the same lifeline. Hyenas and African wild dogs are pack-based hunters, and because they rely on the same food sources, conflict between them is unavoidable. Their confrontations are not always about a single kill, but about controlling access to food and reducing threats from competitors. African wild dogs depend heavily on coordination within the pack. When their formation remains intact, they confidently defend their gains and apply pressure on rivals. For wild dogs, removing a potential threat can be just as important as securing food. Hyenas follow a more flexible and opportunistic survival strategy. They often hold the advantage when moving as a group, but the balance can shift when an individual becomes separated from the clan. If a pack of wild dogs encounters a lone hyena, the outcome is usually unfavorable for the hyena. In such moments, collective strength allows wild dogs to quickly overwhelm and force the rival to retreat. In nature, the relationship between hyenas and wild dogs is a constant cycle of competition, where numbers, strategy, and timing determine which side holds the advantage. Targeting a wild buffalo is a deadly gamble for the pack of wild dogs. With immense power and lethal horns, this beast can gore any challenger that stands in its way. Yet in this showdown, the strength of a lone giant must bow to the coordinated pressure of the entire pack. As a herd of wild buffalo ventures through the territory of African wild dogs, they immediately draw the unwanted attention of these relentless predators. The pack's hunt ignites with a calculated strategy, expertly executed to disorient the herd. With seamless teamwork, the dogs isolate a young calf, tearing it away from the protective fortress of the adults. The mother buffalo fights desperately to save her young, but against the pack's unyielding assault, her efforts prove futile. Cut off from the herd, the lone buffalo is swiftly overpowered by the collective might of the African wild dog pack. Despite a desperate struggle, the inescapable siege tightens, leaving no path to escape. In this brutal hunt, the buffalo's fate is sealed, a stark reflection of the law of survival on the African savanna. For the wild dog pack, survival is a relentless hunt. They zero in on a lone wildebeest, cut off from the herd. Its fate seems sealed. But in a stunning reversal, the entire herd charges in to rescue their own. The tables turn, forcing the hunters to scatter in a desperate retreat. With seamless coordination, the pack of wild dogs expertly isolates a vulnerable wildebeest from the herd. Overwhelmed by the pack's unified assault, the prey is swiftly brought down, ending the brief but savage pursuit. The pack's assault is meticulously calculated. As the plan unfolds, they move in seamless coordination, tightening the circle on their prey. Faced with such lethal teamwork, the wildebeest has no hope of escape. The wild dog pack's code is absolute. Reproduction is a privilege reserved for the alpha pair, a tactic ensuring every resource is funneled into the next generation. After a tense 70-day gestation, the female delivers a litter of 8 to 12 pups in the deep sanctuary of an abandoned earthen den, shielding them from a hostile world. Wild dogs are pack hunters, operating with lethal discipline. The pack is a single entity, moving, resting, and hunting in perfect unison, their unbreakable bond forged through a constant chatter of calls, posturing, and greetings. They are most active at dawn and dusk, when the twilight provides perfect cover for the chase. Before each hunt, the pack rallies in a chorus of excitement, then disperses, a coordinated wave of predators relentlessly pursuing their prey to the point of utter exhaustion. Thank you for joining the expedition. If this journey was powerful, support our mission, like and share. The Wild Calls. We'll see you on the next adventure.